The council chamber was enormous, filled with floating screens and strange creatures from across the galaxy. Ambassador Robert Miller stood in the center, watching the vote numbers appear in bright letters above his head. His heart was steady, his face calm. He had expected this. 792 species voted to kick humanity out of the galaxy. Only 43 voted to let them stay. 12 did not vote at all. Speaker Vorith looked like a giant praying mantis. His voice echoed through the chamber. The vote is final. All humans must leave council space within 50 years. You will remove all your colonies, all your stations, all your ships. This is the law now. Robert nodded once. We understand. But we will not need 50 years. We will be gone in 10. The entire chamber went silent. This had never happened before. When species were expelled, they always fought back. They argued. They begged for more time. They filed complaints and legal papers. They never just agreed. Vorith's many eyes blinked in confusion. You accept this punishment? We accept your decision, Robert said clearly. He turned slowly, looking at as many aliens as he could. But 10 years is enough time for us. We will leave peacefully. A tall alien named Trevik stood up. His people had wanted humans gone more than anyone. Impossible. You have hundreds of colonies. Thousands of stations. 6,417 stations, Robert corrected him. We counted them all. And yes, we will remove every single one within 10 years. In fact, we have already started. Now the aliens were truly shocked. They began talking all at once, their voices mixing into chaos. Vorith hit his desk hard to make them quiet. The vote just finished. How could you have started already? Robert allowed himself a small smile. Because we saw this coming 3 years ago. When your people first talked about removing us, we knew it might happen. We hoped it would not. We tried to change your minds. But we also made plans just in case. He took a small data chip from his pocket and placed it on the floating platform in front of him. The council's computers absorbed the information instantly. That chip contains our complete exit plan. Every colony we will empty. Every station we will take apart. Every schedule for every ship. You will know exactly where we are and what we are doing. We will leave these territories cleaner than when we found them. All we ask is that you honor our current trade agreements until we finish leaving. Trevik's voice was angry. You have no right to ask for anything. Robert continued as if Trevik had not spoken. We asked because we want to leave peacefully. You voted to remove us from your space. Fine. But we will not be your enemies. We will leave with dignity and organization. We will do this our way. He turned to walk away. His assistant, Lieutenant Thomas Reed, walked beside him. Ambassador Miller, called a gentle voice. It was Counselor Helen, though that was the human name for her. Her real name was unpronounceable. She had voted against expulsion. Where will your people go? What will you do? Robert stopped. Behind him, 847 different species waited to hear his answer. He thought about the messages he had received during the vote. From Earth. From Mars. From every human colony. From ship captains and scientists and governors. They all said they were ready. They had been preparing for this moment. Counselor Helen, Robert said, humans have always been at our best when someone tells us we cannot do something. You have given us complete freedom now. No more rules about what technology we can develop. No more committees telling us our ideas are too dangerous. No more asking permission to explore new places. He looked directly at Vorith. You think you are punishing us. But you have given us the greatest gift possible. You have freed us to become everything we can be, without anyone slowing us down. The chamber was completely quiet. We will send you updates, Robert added. Then he walked out, his footsteps loud in the silent hall. Thomas waited until they were alone in the corridor. That was quite a speech, sir. It was true, Robert replied. He pulled out his communication device and entered a code. Within seconds, every human in the galaxy would receive the message. The message said, Exodus Protocol begins now. Thomas, tell all commanders to start Phase 1 immediately. Research ships launch first. Then construction ships. Then military escorts. The civilian population follows once we have built the new infrastructure. Where are we going, sir? Robert looked out the window at the stars beyond. Out there, in the areas the Council called worthless and empty and not worth exploring, was humanity's future. Beyond the edge, he said. To every system we have quietly studied. Every planet we have secretly surveyed. Every piece of space we have been buying for 3 years while the council was not paying attention. They think we are running away. They do not understand that we are about to expand. Thomas smiled. When will they realize the truth? Robert's face became hard and determined. When they realize, it will be too late. We will be too far away, too strong, and too advanced for them to ever push us around again. The council just made the biggest mistake in history. They gave us a reason to leave and time to prepare. We will not waste this chance. As their ship left the station, Robert looked back one last time at the massive structure that represented galactic law and order. Inside, 847 species thought they had solved their human problem. They would learn soon enough. Humanity was not their problem anymore. The council had just become humanity's opportunity. 3 days after the vote, Captain Diana Foster watched her colony ship lift off from New Cambridge, humanity's largest settlement in the Outer Ring. Below her, 10,000 people had already boarded evacuation transports. The colony that had taken 20 years to build would be empty within 6 months. She was not sad. She was excited. All ships report ready, her second officer, Lieutenant Mark Peterson, announced from his station. The convoy is formed. We have 73 vessels total, carrying equipment, supplies, and the advanced construction teams. Diana nodded. Set course for Sector 779. Maximum speed. Mark hesitated. Captain, that sector is marked as uninhabitable on all council charts. Nothing but dead rocks and radiation storms. Diana smiled. That is what the council thinks. That is what we wanted them to think. 3 years ago, our survey teams explored that entire region. We found 12 worlds perfect for human life. We just never told anyone. Now those worlds are ours. Across human space, the same scene repeated 1,000 times. Colony after colony shut down in perfect order. Humans packed their belongings, dismantled their stations, and pointed their ships toward the galactic edge. The council species watched in amazement. They had never seen such organized efficiency. On Earth, Director William Chen coordinated the massive operation from the Global Command Center. Holographic displays showed every human settlement, every ship, every movement. It looked like chaos, but it was perfectly planned. Sir, the Catherine ambassador is requesting a meeting, his aide informed him. Send her in, William said. Ambassador Elara entered, her 4 arms folded in a gesture of concern. The Catherine had been humanity's friends, one of the few species who voted against expulsion. Director Chen, my government wants to understand what is happening. Your people are moving too fast, too efficiently. This evacuation plan is too perfect. You had this ready before the vote. William did not lie to her. Yes. We began planning 3 years ago when we saw the political winds shifting. We hoped we would never need these plans, but we were not foolish enough to ignore the signs. Where are you going? Elara asked. Those sectors you are entering, they are marked as worthless. Dead systems. Why go there? William pulled up a star chart. It showed the regions humanity was moving toward, all colored red on council maps meaning dangerous or useless. Because the council never bothered to explore them properly. You saw radiation and turned back. You saw harsh worlds and marked them uninhabitable. But humans come from Earth, Ambassador. Earth tried to kill us for millions of years with ice ages, volcanoes, diseases, and predators. We learned to adapt. Those harsh worlds? We can live there. We can thrive there. He expanded the chart. In the past 3 years, we secretly surveyed 500 systems beyond the rim. We found 230 worlds we can colonize immediately, and another 300 we can terraform. We have been quietly buying the territorial rights to all of them from various council species who thought they were selling us garbage. Elara's eyes widened. You have been preparing to leave for 3 years. We have been preparing to survive for 3 years, William corrected. If the vote had gone differently, these would have been expansion colonies, new territories added to human space slowly over centuries. Now they will be our new home, settled within a decade. The Council's expulsion order simply accelerated our timeline. What about your technology? Elara asked. You have always complained that Council regulations limited your research. What will you do without those restrictions? William's smile was cold. Everything we were never allowed to do. Quantum drives that Council regulations called too dangerous. Genetic modifications they labeled unethical. Artificial intelligence they feared. Weapons they banned. For 100 years, we followed Council rules because we wanted to be good members. Now we are free to innovate without anyone telling us no. Ilara looked frightened. You could become very powerful very quickly. Yes, William agreed simply. We could. We will. But Ambassador, please tell your government something for me. Tell them humanity remembers its friends. The 43 species who voted against our expulsion will always have our gratitude. When we return, and we will return, those species will be offered trade agreements, technology sharing, and mutual defense pacts. The 792 who voted us out? They will get whatever scraps we decide to give them. Within 6 months, the exodus was undeniable. Entire human colonies vanished. Trade routes went silent. The council species began to notice problems. Human merchant ships had carried goods between systems for decades. Now those routes were empty. Pirates who had avoided human patrol areas became bold, raiding council worlds. Technology that humans had maintained suddenly broke down with no one to fix it. On the council station, Trevik stood before Vorith. The humans are leaving faster than predicted. Their final colony will be empty within 8 years, not 10. Good, Vorith said. The human problem is solved. Is it? Trevik asked. Our intelligence shows massive construction in the dead zones beyond the rim. Energy signatures that should not exist in those regions. Ship movements in areas we thought were empty. Vorith dismissed his concern. Let them hide in the wasteland. They will struggle to survive in those harsh conditions. Without council support, without our technology and resources, they will weaken. In a generation, they will beg to return, and we will set the terms. Trevik was not convinced, but he said nothing more. Far beyond the rim, on a world the council had marked as dead, Captain Diana Foster stood on a cliff overlooking her new colony. 50,000 humans had arrived in the past month. Construction robots worked day and night building homes, factories, research centers. In the sky above, 3 new space stations were taking shape. Her communication device buzzed. It was a message from Earth, from Director Chen. It contained just 3 words. Phase 2 begins. Diana looked up at the stars. Out there, in the darkness beyond council space, humanity was building an empire. And the galaxy had no idea what was coming. Year 5 of the Exodus. The council chambers felt strangely empty even though all 847 species were present. Speaker Vorith called the session to order, but his voice lacked its usual confidence. We gather to discuss the economic concerns raised by several member species, Vorith announced. Councillor Trevik has the floor. Trevik stood, his tall form rigid with barely contained anger. The human departure has created chaos in 17 sectors. Trade routes they maintained have collapsed. Pirates raid our shipping lanes without fear. 3 member species have reported technology failures because humans were the only ones who understood the systems well enough to repair them. A crystalline being named Councillor Mara spoke up. My people's medical facilities depended on human-designed equipment. When it broke down last month, we had no one who could fix it. 15 of my people died waiting for replacement parts from other manufacturers. Another voice joined in. The outer rim colonies are suffering. Human patrol fleets kept the peace there. Now raiders attack weekly. Vorith raised his foreclaw for silence. These are temporary adjustments. Other species will fill the gaps the humans left. We are better off without their aggressive tendencies and dangerous innovations. But Councillor Helen, the Catherine representative, stood slowly. Are we? My people maintained contact with human ambassador Robert Miller until last month. Then all communication stopped. Not because they were angry. They simply said they were going dark for a while and would contact us when they were ready. So? Trevik challenged. They are hiding in the wasteland, struggling to survive. Helen projected a hologram into the center of the chamber. It showed sensor readings from deep space, far beyond the rim. These readings were taken by our long-range probes. Look at the energy signatures. Those are not the signatures of a struggling civilization. Those are massive construction projects. Power generation on a scale we have never seen. They are building something out there. Something big. The chamber erupted in argument. Vorith struggled to maintain order. Impossible. Trevik shouted. Those regions are dead. Nothing can survive there. Then explain these readings, Helen countered. And explain why my government's attempts to send scout ships into those regions have failed. 3 ships sent. 3 ships that encountered warning buoys in space telling them to turn back. The buoys were human-made, using technology we gave them decades ago. But the weapons platforms behind those buoys? Those were using technology we have never seen before. Year 7. The problems grew worse. A merchant convoy was attacked near the Outer Rim. 20 ships destroyed, 300 crew members killed. The Council fleet responded, but too slowly. The pirates had vanished. In the Council chamber, the debate had become heated. Some species now openly questioned the wisdom of expelling humanity. We acted too hastily, Councillor Mara declared. The humans were annoying, yes. They questioned everything. They pushed boundaries. But they also solved problems. They patrolled space. They maintained equipment. They innovated solutions when we were stuck. Trevik remained defiant. We do not need them. We have managed for 12,000 years without humans. We will adapt. But adaptation was harder than anyone expected. The Council tried to hire new patrol fleets from member species, but they lacked humanity's efficiency. They tried to replace human-maintained technology, but the replacements were inferior or too expensive. Industries that relied on human innovation stagnated. Year 9. A Kethran exploration ship, captained by someone named Marcus, deliberately ignored orders and ventured beyond the rim. He was curious about what humanity had built in the darkness. What he found terrified him. The first human settlement he encountered was not a struggling colony. It was a thriving city on a world the Council had marked as uninhabitable. Massive biodomes covered the surface, but they were unlike anything in Council space. The technology was advanced far beyond what humans had possessed just 9 years earlier. Marcus tried to get closer, but human patrol ships intercepted him. They were sleek, fast, and carried weapons that made his own ship's defenses look primitive. The human captain who contacted him was polite but firm. Captain Marcus, you are in Terran Confederation space. This territory was legally purchased from the Council. You are trespassing. Turn back now, or we will escort you out. I mean no harm, Marcus said quickly. I am just curious. We were friends once. Can we not talk? The human captain was silent for a moment. Very well. Follow us. But understand, you will be monitored constantly. Break any rules, and you will be expelled immediately. Marcus followed the human ships to a space station orbiting a massive gas giant. The station was enormous, easily 3 times the size of the Council's Apex 7. Ships moved in and out constantly. Construction continued on additional modules. He was taken to a meeting room where a human woman waited. She introduced herself as Governor Rebecca Hall. Captain Marcus, your government has been good to us, Rebecca said. The Kethran voted against our expulsion. For that, we are grateful. So I will show you something no other Council species has seen. But you must promise to report exactly what you see to your government and to Councillor Helen. I promise, Marcus said. Rebecca led him to an observation deck. Through the massive windows, Marcus could see dozens of worlds in the distance, each one glowing with city lights. Hundreds of ships moved between them. Construction platforms built new vessels constantly. In 9 years, we have colonized 147 worlds, Rebecca said calmly. We have a population of 8 billion in this region alone, and more arrive daily. We have built 63 major space stations, 212 minor ones. Our technology has advanced more in 9 years than it did in the previous century. Marcus could barely speak. How? How is this possible? Rebecca smiled. Because we were free. No council regulations telling us what we could not research. No committees debating whether our ideas were too dangerous. No bureaucracy slowing every decision. When humans are given freedom and purpose, we achieve the impossible. She turned to face him directly. Go back to the council, Captain Marcus. Tell them what you saw. Tell them humanity did not run away to hide. We left to grow. And we have grown beyond anything they imagined. Marcus returned to council space with his report. He showed the recordings he had been allowed to make. The council chamber fell silent as they watched. Councillor Helen spoke first. They have built an empire in less than a decade. An empire that rivals our entire civilization. What have we done? Voritha's voice was weak. They were supposed to struggle. They were supposed to fail. Trevik said nothing. For the first time in years, he looked frightened. Year 10 arrived. The last human presence in council space departed exactly on schedule. A final message was sent to the council from Director William Chen. As promised, we are gone. All territories are clean. All debts are paid. All contracts are honored. Humanity thanks the council for the opportunity to discover what we could become without limitations. We will be in touch. Year 51. Exactly 1 year after the exile period ended, the Council's deep space sensors detected something impossible. A fleet was approaching from beyond the rim. Not just a few ships. Hundreds of them. Speaker Vorith, now much older, called an emergency session. The holographic display in the center of the chamber showed the incoming fleet. Every councillor stared in shock at the vessels on their screens. What are those ships? Councillor Mara whispered. I have never seen designs like that. The vessels moved through space in ways that should not be possible. They did not use conventional drives. They seemed to fold space around them, jumping distances in seconds that should take days. Their hulls shimmered with energy shields that council sensors could barely detect. Could it be an invasion force? Trevik asked, his voice shaking. A new species from unexplored space. They are hailing us, the communications officer announced. Audio and visual ready. Put them through, Vorith commanded. The hologram changed. A human man appeared, wearing a uniform that was both familiar and strange. It carried echoes of old Earth military designs but incorporated technology that seemed to glow with its own light. Behind him, the bridge of his ship was visible, filled with displays and interfaces far beyond anything in Council space. Greetings, Galactic Council, the man said. His voice was calm and professional. I am Admiral James Cooper of the Terran Confederation Navy. We request permission to dock at Apex 7 Station and address the Council formally. The chamber erupted in chaos. Humans? The fleet was human. Vorith struggled to maintain composure. Admiral Cooper, this is unexpected. The terms of your exile have only just expired. Exactly, James replied with a slight smile. We followed your rules perfectly. 50 years have passed. Now we wish to discuss new arrangements between our peoples. You call yourself a confederation now? Trevik demanded. You were barely holding together when you left. James's smile did not fade. Much has changed in 50 years, Counselor. We would be happy to explain in person. Will you grant us an audience? Vorith looked around the chamber. The councillors were frightened, confused, curious. Finally, he nodded. You may dock. But only one ship. And only a small delegation. Understood, James said. We will arrive in 3 hours. The transmission ended. The council spent those 3 hours in frantic debate. Should they allow the humans in? Should they prepare defenses? Should they call for military support? In the end, curiosity won over fear. When the human ship docked, it took everyone's breath away. The vessel was beautiful and terrifying at once. Its hull was smooth, without visible seams. Energy pulsed along its surface in patterns that suggested incredible power barely contained. Admiral James Cooper entered the council chamber with 5 others. Among them was a woman who stepped forward and introduced herself. I am Ambassador Elizabeth Hayes, she said. Granddaughter of Robert Miller, who stood here 50 years ago. Vorith studied her carefully. She had her grandfather's calm confidence, but something more. An authority that came from representing something powerful. Ambassador Hayes, your fleet is impressive, Vorith admitted. But why have you come? You are free now. You could stay in your territory beyond the rim. Elizabeth smiled. We could. But we believe in cooperation over isolation. We have come to offer the council a choice. Partnership or separation. The choice is yours. Partnership. Trevik laughed bitterly. You think you can negotiate with us? You are the exiled ones. Were, Elizabeth corrected gently. We were exiled. That period has ended. Now we are the Terran Confederation, controlling 462 colony worlds, 143 major stations, and a population of 27 billion across our territory. We have technology decades ahead of yours. We have resources you cannot access. We have military strength that rivals your entire combined fleet. She let that sink in before continuing. But we did not come here to threaten you. We came to offer trade, mutual defense, and technology sharing. We have discovered 17 new spacefaring species in the regions you ignored. We have made contact with pre-spaceflight civilizations on 23 worlds. We have explored and mapped 200,000 systems. All of this knowledge, all of this capability, we are willing to share with you. Counselor Helen leaned forward. What do you want in return? Independence, Elizabeth said simply. We will never again submit to council authority. We govern ourselves. We make our own laws. We research what we choose. We defend ourselves. But we will trade with you. We will share discoveries. We will even defend Council space from external threats, if you ask. We can be your partners, not your subjects. The chamber was silent. Finally, Mara spoke. You have grown so much in 50 years. How? Elizabeth's expression became serious. Because you freed us from your bureaucracy. Every innovation we proposed for a century was delayed or denied by council committees. Too dangerous, you said. Too fast, you said. Too different. When you expelled us, you removed those chains. Human creativity and determination, unleashed without restriction, accomplished in 50 years what might have taken centuries under council rules. She walked slowly around the chamber, looking at each councillor. You feared what we might become. So you banished us. We became exactly what you feared. But we are not here for revenge. We are here because cooperation benefits everyone. Because diversity of thought and culture makes us all stronger. Because the galaxy is vast and full of challenges that require different perspectives to overcome. What if we refuse your partnership? Trevor asked. What if we vote to keep you out? Elizabeth's smile was cold now. Then we continue on our own path. We have everything we need. Resources, territory, population, technology. We do not need you. But you are starting to need us, are you not? Your patrol routes are still undermanned. Your technology is stagnating. Your expansion has stopped. Meanwhile, we grow stronger every day. Eventually, you will need allies. Would you prefer us as friends or as indifferent strangers? She returned to the center platform. The Council's great mistake 50 years ago was thinking you could control or eliminate what made you uncomfortable. You cannot control humanity. You never could. But you can work with us. You can learn from us. You can benefit from our partnership. Or you can continue alone, growing weaker while we grow stronger in the darkness beyond your borders. Admiral Cooper stepped forward. We have brought gifts for the 43 species who voted against our exile 50 years ago. Advanced medical technology for the Kethran. Improved shields for the Varelians. Agricultural systems for the Menderans. All free, all given in gratitude for your friendship when others showed us none. The 792 species who voted us out? You get nothing unless you agree to partnership. Friendship must be earned. Vorith looked around the chamber. He saw fear, anger, regret, and calculation on countless faces. Finally, he spoke. The council will vote on your proposal. Return to your ship. We will summon you when we have decided. Elizabeth nodded. We will wait. But not forever. You have 1 week to decide. The council chamber had never been so tense. 847 species waited in silence as Speaker Vorith prepared to announce the vote. Ambassador Elizabeth Hayes stood on the central platform, her face calm but her heart racing. Behind her, Admiral James Cooper and the rest of the human delegation waited. Vorith's voice echoed through the massive chamber. The vote on the proposed partnership with the Terran Confederation is as follows. In favor of partnership, 621. Against partnership, 214. Abstaining, 12. Elizabeth allowed herself a small smile. The council had chosen wisely. However, Vorith continued, his voice heavy, there are conditions. The council demands assurances that humanity will not use its advanced military technology aggressively against member species. We demand that certain restricted technologies remain banned. We demand oversight on human expansion into regions near council space. The chamber fell silent, waiting for Elizabeth's response. She took a deep breath and spoke clearly. No. Gasps filled the chamber. Trevik stood abruptly. You dare refuse our conditions? We offer you partnership and you spit in our faces. Elizabeth's voice remained calm but firm. You misunderstand the situation, Councillor Trevik. We did not come here to ask permission. We came to offer cooperation. You do not get to place conditions on us. We are not your subjects. We are an independent confederation, and we will remain so. She turned to address the entire assembly. Here is what humanity offers. We will establish trade agreements with any species that wishes them. We will share certain technologies freely with our friends, the 43 who supported us. We will provide defense support if council space is threatened by external forces. We will respect your borders and your sovereignty. In return, you will respect ours. What about the restricted technologies? Mara asked nervously. The weapons research? The artificial intelligence? The genetic modifications? We will continue our research without restriction, Elizabeth said flatly. For a century, The council told us what we could and could not study. Those days are over. However, we will not share dangerous technologies with species we do not trust. And we will never use our capabilities to conquer or dominate. That is our promise. Counselor Helen stood, her forearms spread in a gesture of peace. Ambassador Hayes, your grandfather stood here 50 years ago and accepted exile with grace. You stand here now with all the power, yet you still offer partnership instead of demanding submission. Why? Elizabeth's expression softened. Because my grandfather taught me that strength without wisdom is just brutality. Yes, we are powerful now. Yes, we could probably defeat the council in a war, though it would cost both sides terribly. But what would we gain? More territory we do not need? The hatred of 800 species? The constant threat of rebellion and resistance? She walked slowly around the platform. Humanity learned a hard lesson on Earth long ago. We fought ourselves for thousands of years. Nations conquered nations. Empires rose and fell. And what did all that violence achieve? Nothing but suffering. We learned that cooperation creates more value than conquest. That diversity of thought makes us stronger than uniformity. That friends are more valuable than subjects. She stopped and looked directly at Vorith. You expelled us because you feared our differences. You thought removing us would make you safer. Instead, you made us stronger and yourselves weaker. Do not make the same mistake again. Accept us as independent partners, and we all benefit. Try to control us, and we simply walk away. The choice is yours. The chamber was silent for a long moment. Finally, Vorith spoke, and his voice carried the weight of acceptance. The council accepts your terms, Ambassador Hayes. We will establish the partnership as equals, not as superior and inferior. We will respect your independence, and we ask that you respect our sovereignty. Elizabeth nodded. We accept. Let us draft the formal accord. Over the next 3 days, human and council diplomats worked together to create the new accord. It established clear boundaries between Terran Confederation space and council territory. It created trade routes and exchange programs. It outlined procedures for mutual defense and shared research on neutral topics. Most importantly, it recognized humanity as an equal power, not a member of the council, but a partner alongside it. On the day of the signing, Elizabeth stood once more in the council chamber. This time, she was not alone. Representatives from all 43 species who had supported humanity 50 years ago stood with her. Counselor Helen approached Elizabeth privately before the ceremony. Your people have accomplished something remarkable. In just 50 years, you went from exiled refugees to a major galactic power. How does it feel? Elizabeth smiled. It feels like justice. Not revenge, but justice. We were told we did not belong. We proved that we belong everywhere we choose to be. We were told we were too dangerous. We proved that danger comes from how you use power, not from having it. We were told we needed the council. We proved that the council needs diversity, including us. The signing ceremony was brief but meaningful. Vorith and Elizabeth both placed their marks on the accord, their signatures glowing in holographic light above the assembly. Let this mark a new era, Vorith announced. An era of cooperation between the Galactic Council and the Terran Confederation. May we both benefit from this partnership. Elizabeth added her own words. Humanity remembers those who stood with us in our darkest hour. To the 43 species who voted against our exile, you now have access to our most advanced medical technology, our agricultural systems, our defensive shields. This is given freely, with gratitude. To those who voted us out, we offer fair trade and nothing more. Trust must be earned, and friendship must be built over time. As the ceremony ended, Elizabeth walked to the viewport and looked out at the stars. Admiral Cooper joined her. Feels strange, doesn't it? James said quietly. 50 years ago, your grandfather left this place as an exile. Today, you leave as an equal. Better than equal, Elizabeth replied. We are independent. We answer to no one but ourselves. That is worth more than any title or position in the council. She turned from the window. But our work is not finished, James. We have 462 worlds, but the galaxy has millions more. We have 27 billion people, but we can grow to hundreds of billions. We have advanced technology, but we can always improve. The council gave us 50 years of freedom. We turned it into an empire. Imagine what we can do with 100 more years. 1,000. James smiled. The galaxy will never underestimate humanity again. Good, Elizabeth said firmly. Let them remember the lesson. When you try to bury humanity, you only teach us to dig deeper. When you try to cage us, you only teach us to break chains. When you cast us out, you only give us room to grow. The council thought they were punishing us. They gave us the greatest gift possible. They set us free. She walked toward the exit, her delegation following. Behind her, the council watched in silence. In the years that followed, the Terran Confederation continued to expand and innovate.